Hello, welcome to this Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob, and it is. Oh no, I've done the wrong scene. Hello, welcome to this Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob, and I'm live in the studio on Stream Street Day 2. I'm very excited, and I'm joined by two incredible men. But I think both members officially of the Dwellers Below podcast at this stage. Randy Savage. Hello, Randy.
Hello, Rob. Hello.
Uh,
Hello,
uh,
everyone out in Streamland.
and the most famous man of all time, Mr. Nick Hohen.
I'm definitely not the most famous man of all time, but hello, everyone.
Good. Joining us all the way from Tasmania and Australia. Wow. So exotic.
Tasmania is a part of Australia. Only just, but all right.
Well, that's not when I was over there. They were being when you would leave. They were like, "Oh, damn Tassie man!" Every time you left, they said that. I didn't know if it was. Have I? Should I not have said that?
Well, no, but it tracks. That tracks.
In his heart, he already knew.
Yeah, it's true. So, Randy, first, how are you? Just generally, how are things over there?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm in house quarantine. My wife came back from Turkey on Friday, so she's a healthcare professional. So, yeah, she's got to be housebound for 14 days. And then I called my work and went, "Hey, my wife's being quarantined, so I should probably not leave the house, right?" And they're like, that's a good point. So I'm working from home for the next 2 weeks.
Which is exciting. But could you tell people what you do for work? Because it's one of my favourite things.
Oh my God. So I run a laboratory for a cheese company, where we basically do all of the chemical and microbiological testing for all the cheese products that we make so that they adhere to food safety standards. So I run a lab.
So
So,
you're
so
a cheese.
officially,
Go on. Sorry, Nick. After
I
you.
was going to say you're officially a cheesy git then.
Yeah.
Oh, that was not only a good one, but also new. So well done on two fronts, Nick. Yes, I am.
Good. I just want to say hello to everyone who's just joining us live as we do go live. Mr. Kapowski, John Askham asked if this is the work from home club. More than likely, Stephen AOS, who is super mad. The coronavirus has closed Bobo off. Not gonna lie, seen it with Randy Savage and got old school wrestling hyped. Wouldn't it be fun if it was the real Randy Savage? I prefer you, Randy. I won't lie. And then
That's fair. Prefer me too.
Datcom in the chat says, I like cheese.
Hey, Warhammer Restless is topical at the moment, isn't it?
Is it Warhammer Wrestling?
Yeah, there's some chick who is a wrestler and knows about Warhammer apparently on the
Yeah,
Twitters.
she's from the WWE. So this is just literally me absorbing information off of Twitter. She's from the WWE, and she was tweeting about how Nurgle's something or other, and then people were like, "Oh, this is awesome," and then she's just, "Yeah, but Corn's my favorite," and everyone's lost their minds.
And she's just sitting there she's like, fucking nerds.
That's fantastic. Even hello to Darren McNally on Facebook. And the Merchant Prince asks, are you the tredatrician, the rictologist? What's the proper name for that? Is it a tredatrician?
For what?
For being a cheese scientist. I think he was using some science words plus cheese, a
Oh,
ricotta.
oh no. So like, okay, so just to clarify, like the joke is I'm a cheese scientist or I'm like a cheese doctor or something like that. I don't actually make the cheese. I just make the cheese, make sure that the cheese is fit for sale. And so we do have like some professional cheese makers and cheese technologists on site who probably fit that title. I am nowhere near as cool as that. I just make sure it's safe to eat, and I won't lie. Sometimes it's just by eating it and we're going, "Oh yeah, that's pretty good."
So,
I want that guy's job.
I know, right? That's fantastic. Big shout out to Nick. Nick, how are you? What's going on over there? How's things?
Yeah, good, good. Like I feel like I'm in quarantine. I haven't left the house in 2 days except to buy a can of spray paint and some paint. But I'm actually just on like as a shift worker on like 5 days off in a row. So I'm not actually in quarantine or anything like that. I'm just hanging around at home.
Okay, all right. Thank you to OJ, by the way, for subscribing over on Twitch, and to everyone who does and has joined us live. Big love to you all. Let us know how you're doing, cooped up. I like your priorities, Nick. I just saw that in Thailand, it's either Thailand or the Philippines, there's been a run on the supermarkets where they've bought all of the Gundam models. I think you build Gundam models, and in the Philippines they've
Yeah.
just been wiped out at the supermarkets, and they also sell them in the supermarkets. Interesting side note.
I was
So
gonna say that's the most interesting part of the news is the not that Filipinos or people from Thailand have bought Gundam models, but that they buy so many, they're stocked at supermarkets.
Yeah, like they averagely buy quite a few, enough to stock them at supermarkets. Although there is a supermarket here in the UK that does stock Warhammer, which is very odd, and it's not a particularly famous chain, but it's like a small chain. Nathan took me in there once, so I need to get some paint, and I was like, Nathan, this is a supermarket. Like, what the? What
Are you sure it's not just Scribbles shop?
No, it's not. It was like you could buy some sausages, you get yourself a magazine, and then you could pick up your Warhammer models and paint. Which I was like, they even had like Vallejo paints. I was like, oh, how odd is this?
That's bizarre.
Odd.
I was walking down the street to the Games Workshop today. Speaking of doing runs on things, and this lady's standing near the ATM. She's like, I'd better get some cash out just in case we can't get cash out later. I'm like, geez, are we really at the stage where we're doing a run on the banks? Like, is it getting that bad?
Well, we're out of toilet paper, Nick. Something's gonna have to wipe.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been saving up all those sprues for years. I'm gonna just stick a bit of magazine on the end of it and just go crazy, like a. I'm gonna just move on. Anyway, let's talk Warhammer and not viruses. That's the future. If you are watching live, thanks for joining us. This is Stream Street. I'll be live every midday until it's over. That's what we're doing. We're bunkering down. So welcome to the bunker every midday.
The bunker's a fantastic name for it, and not at all morbid and terrifying.
Well, yeah, I went for Stream Street. I had a whole bunch of different like alliterations. The Corona Corner, that was a bad one. I didn't go for that one. The the virus viewing, which I also didn't go for. Are you
gonna get sponsored by Corona beers?
I mean, they need it at this stage. Surely their entire business is fucked. All right. So I know I'd like to ask you how you're both doing with hobby. So big things. And Nick, you've been to a lot of Warhammer events in your life. Like, for a significant part of your life, it was like a key focus of your life for a long time.
Yep.
Warhammer events not being on, we must have all had this conversation by now, but how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, like it's an interesting one because like I haven't actually played in a Warhammer event since like August, and that was in the UK. So, but I've been along to a couple, and it is crazy seeing it. It's just, and thinking like I've been painting up an army. I finally had that hobby bug bite me, and I'm painting an army up. I'm like, I don't actually know when I'm going to be able to use this in an event. Like the next event, I was actually finally super keen to play an event again, and I had a few lined up, and it's like, they're all cancelled, and they may not come back for a long, long time.
What army did you finally decide you were going to put together?
I'm doing a Nurgle army. It's in theme.
Oh, nice. In theme. Sunise in the chat, who's here, by the way. Big love to everyone who's in the chat. I can see you all. Fantastic guy. He says we should have called it the Corona Dome. That's also a good name for it. That would have worked.
So before you skip past Sunise's fantastic pun, can I just say, has anyone seen that photo on Twitter going around where it's just a screen cap of Mad Max, and they've just put a question. So what day do we just start dressing like this?
You're like, what?
I lost it.
When does it happen? Like, that's the real question.
At what point do you just pull all the leather out, smack some war paint on, and start hunting for gasoline?
Well, I reckon it's up to Nathan.
Nathan's already dressed that way. And talking of looting, some sad news, but if you want to send him some love, after we did the show on Monday, Nathan went back to his van, which was parked up, and white vans being full of tools being a key target for people that break into cars and vehicles, and he had his one of his windows smashed in. Thankfully, they didn't steal any tools. They just stole a bag of clothes, which obviously had recently been in a dungeon, so they're the one who are losing out in that situation. No. He genuinely got his van broken into, which is really shit, on his way home from the show on Monday, which is super sad. So, not that...
No. As in, were you kidding about them stealing his bondage outfit?
No, I'm not at all.
Well, on the plus side, it's going to be really easy to pick that guy out of the lineup.
Yes, really. Yeah. He's nicked the bondage outfit, and now he's just going around looking like he's in the Mad Max, like post-apocalypse future.
Well, that's what he must be thinking. He's pulled it out and just gone, well, I mean, I went through the trouble of stealing this. I might as well wear it.
Well, imagine you're that thief. You break into the van, you grab the black duffel bag that you think is full of like cash or something valuable, and you're really psyched, and you're like, this could turn my my career in crime around. And you open it up, and it's just a bunch of leather and studs.
A couple of floggers, yeah. It's the best.
Oh boy.
Yeah, oh boy.
Welcome to the bunker, indeed.
Yeah, welcome to the hunk down bunker. All right. So we were talking about events, but if you want to send Nath some love on Twitter, please do, because he hates it and it makes me laugh.
Or send him photos of bondage gear and say, "Is this yours?"
Yes. Just wear some
bunch of people in gimp suits. It's like, was this the perpetrator?
Yeah, just take pictures of yourself in it, send them to him, and be like, "I found your stuff. Hunker down in the bunker. That's where we're at." Right. So Nick, one of the things I think is interesting, and Randy, feel free to jump in as well. Obviously, so you got the hobby bug. You're thinking, I'm going to go to an event, and you start painting up your army. But with the release schedule that's happened recently from Games Workshop, anyway, like it's been difficult to paint armies thinking, oh, these will stay relevant for 6 months. And now we might all go through a cycle of building and painting armies that not are irrelevant, but that don't have any impact in the gaming environment for maybe 6 months. Is that not super weird? Big shout out to Shadowhammer in the chat, by the way.
You know what is going to be the weirdest part is watching all of these armies come out. And since we are the last line of beta testing for the company, not realizing what's actually going to be the final army when everything's said and done.
I mean, you most of the time could just read it. Like you're like, oh yeah, that's a real big problem.
Yeah, but it's also how are they going to fix it? Because yes, you can read it and know this is bent, but you're not going to know how they're going to attempt to unbend it. And therefore, do I go out and buy 1 million of these skull cannons so that I can buff them up with my angry boys? Like,
they also can't go due to a recent event. We've seen that there's been a small oversight in one of the books. Like that could no longer be what they do. They don't have the excuse of events showing them the way. It's now just yeah. Look, lads, like at printing, we saw it was fucked.
And I know you asked Nick the question, but I think the other side of it as well is, to a certain degree, it really depends on why you build an army. Because if you're building an army to go to an event and be competitive, the potential fact that all the events are getting cancelled because of the current situation, and we're not going to see an impact of new armies on the scene in any real shape and form for a little while, might be your concern. But if you're just building an army to do what Nick's doing, or the reason I build armies, which is just this looks fun, I'm going to throw this on the table, I don't reckon it'll actually impact those players very much at all.
Buzz off, Randy. I'm an uber competitive monster, and that's all I care about.
That was a fantastic pun that you injected into the middle of it, and everyone that's watching for Rob's stream won't know what the hell you were talking about. So I will pay it, and they'll have to wait for the payoff themselves later.
Good. Can I just say big thank you to Kenny Lull for donating 510 bits to the show, and also to Shadowhammer for subscribing as well, and also to everyone who joined my Patreon yesterday. I was a bit overwhelmed. This isn't the time. I know we're mid-conversation. I'm going to do my own little bit about that later, but it was super lovely. I've had a super lovely support day, which has been nice, especially in these trying times. Can I offer you an egg?
Seeing as you are rolling in it so well, is this now a good time to discuss my appearance fee? Or?
Yes. Well, we do have to talk to, of course, the CEO, Jacob Berry, of the Rage of Sigmar Podcast Network. Conglomerate? I don't know what it is at this stage. It's intense, is where it's at.
It's whatever we want it to be.
Yeah, and it's only about the friends we made along the way. I just want to chat to some people in the chat for a minute, if that's all right. Tom the Hobbit says, still working on my Sylvaneth despite the battle tome. Despite the battle tome is a little bit heartbreaking. And also, Owen Jackson, a big fan of him, says, building and painting an army that has no impact on the meta. Welcome to the world of the Sylvaneth player. We're all now Sylvaneth players, which I think is, that would be nice, right?
Some of the models are pretty cool. I like those trees.
They are nice.
That wasn't even a joke. Those trees are cool.
They are. What? Do the terrain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually having a think. Someone put up about the Seraphon terrain, and they're like, "Oh, I love how everyone except narrative gamers are building the kits in the easiest way to build them." I'm like, "Yeah, it's because the vines are shit. They look garbage, and the only bit of like foliage terrain that Games Workshop has made recently that made me go, wow, that looks awesome, is the Sylvaneth trees. The new Wildwoods are amazing. They're really cool."
Yeah, they're very organic, aren't they? That's a really good point. I don't know if there are any like really good. They do like. They don't even do like there's a little lion that comes in the Untamed Beasts army, little unit, little fella, and like I wouldn't describe him as great. And I was never super impressed by horses when they did horses either. I don't know if I have really ever thought they've done organic stuff overly well anywhere across the board, unless some people have got an example where I'm wrong, which could very definitely be true.
Leviathans are pretty cool. Or the big turtles are pretty cool. Like, there's some stuff that they do well, but I more mean like plants. Like, you look at their bracken basing kit and their vine basing kit, and I guess it's hard to translate that sort of viney, leafy texture onto a model in the same way or technology that James Workshop does, but it's just not very nice most of the time.
Okay, yeah, fair point. Nick, you got any thoughts on that?
The trees that they had in the 3rd ed 40k starter set with the Dark Eldar were on point.
Okay, the weird brackeny stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the pinnacle of GW tree evolution.
I love how the Sylvaneth players have managed to derail us to start talking about trees. Sneaky buggers.
Yeah, they're like, pay us attention. We if we're all irrelevant, we're now relevant again. Play us. Yeah. Dave Fraser in the chat reckons that the lion is shit. He's got it in his hand right now. And also, Owen says that his Sylvaneth Wildwoods look really good in his bin, which is pretty mean. And Mr. Kapowski says, I finally painted my Soul Wars Stormcast Eternals and assembling terrain so me and the missus can start playing games at home while we're on lockdown. That's a great point. Is this the time to get all of our partners into Warhammer?
No.
A resounding answer from Nick Cohen over in the corner over there.
Deeply
if I have to spend the next 10 months with my partner and then she wants to come play Warhammer with me afterwards, it's a no from me.
Are you worried that it's because...
also means we don't get to see loose Nick.
Yeah, is it? Yeah,
can't have that.
Is it also a worry that she might get too competitive and potentially like you might have to up your game and get more serious about beating her? Is there a concern there?
My missus is a semi-professional football player who is a far better football player than I am, which is our shared hobby. So, no, I've long since come to terms with being the inferior party in this relationship. She also earns more money than I am and is way better looking than I am.
Oh, Nick, there you go. That shows some real love to your partner there. I really respect that. That's the sweetest. We've had some stuff in the chat. Chuckabutty says, just got Warhammer delivered by a postie. She knocked on the door and I happened to be stood right near the door and opened it almost immediately. She was fucking gone, sprinted off down the drive already. My question is, was that because it was Warhammer and she's afraid of nerds, or was it because of a killer virus, or was it because Chuckabutty stole Nathan's gimp suit and he was dressed in it?
That was definitely the virus.
Yeah.
It wasn't the game suit at all. That would have been a reason to stop for a moment and say hello.
Nubgun in the chat is also saying he's still soldiering on with his crappy Nighthaunt, and he said he just got tabled last night by 4 Stegodons. Which have you guys had any opportunity to check out the Seraphon Battle Tome? And have you got any thoughts on it?
Bastiladons are crazy.
I reckon they're less crazy.
News at 11. Bastiladons are crazy.
Yeah. I was in the Seraphon chat on WhatsApp for a little while. I think I left when they were bickering about how the 1+ unrenderable save on the Bastiladons worked. I'm just like, just wait for the FAQ guys.
Yeah. We'll just wait. The Seraphon guys. Shadowhammer. Thanks for donating 500 bits to the show. That's lovely of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Liam.
Yeah,
Thanks, Liam.
thanks, Liam. Who's now at home, I think, writing Daughters of Cain lists because he's now
Yes,
bored.
fantastically terrible ones too. There's hydras and stuff in them. I love him so much.
Yeah, so what's happened in Australia? Because, Nick, you were going to run, or I don't know if it's still on, the Daughters Below were going to run a narrative event, competitive Nick Hohen, smash him in, don't feel your strength test Nick Hohen, a narrative wargaming event. Like, talk me through that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I've been stepping away. Realistically, I've been stepping away from the competitive side of things for a while because it just hasn't had the same sort of lure that it used to have. But partly being like what brought me back into Age of Sigmar from sort of Kings of War and X-Wing and stuff was the modeling and social side of things than the competitive. You know, the game's hot garbage, right? So,
Call it like you see it, brother. Call it like you see it.
so the competitive, and like I did CanCon a couple of years back, and I went competitive at that. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was trying to place as well as possible at that because I kind of wanted to just make sure I still had it. But
Yeah, it comes second as well, I might add, for those of you that don't know.
so yeah, it was more just kind of that's where I want to go with my hobby and my sort of social game now. And so yeah, it was moving into narrative events and trying something new. And it's just something we don't really have. There's no major 2-day narrative event in Australia, and you see them running things like Holy Wars GT in the US and Bobo and not Bobo, Raw, Realms at War in the UK. Those events are awesome. They're great spectacles on Twitter and stuff. And so I kind of wanted to try my hand at doing something like that.
Yeah, they're fantastic, and I've been to a Realms at War actually, which like I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and the effort put in the tournament organisers was astronomical. Like it was just insane, and probably I've never laughed so much at an event. Truth be told. But I didn't find it the most rewarding experience because I think, truthfully, if you're going to have something like that, I love the concept of playing a game of Warhammer with a DM, like in Dungeons and Dragons, like or like I love the idea that there will just be a person who's at your table dedicated to changing stuff up. But I do think that means you need to have quite good acumen of the game, which is probably also true of D&D, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that would be a hilarious, and obviously I would want Nathan to be the DM because he would just cause all sorts of manic shit to happen.
Well, it would always end in one way or another with someone getting stuffed down a pair of pants.
Yeah, that's how the game would always end. And then he stuffed him down his pants, and the game was over.
Roll a saving throw.
Yeah, it's a one-up unrendable. There you go, Seraphon players. Crazy Horse, thanks for donating 200 bits, by the way. Tom Dick says, found 3 metal salamanders with handlers still fresh in blister packs. Time to cash in, potentially. Although I'm getting 12 salamanders delivered today from Miss Miniatures.
Are they the new ones or are they the 5th ed ones? Because I need one of those 5th ed ones. So hit me up.
Yeah, hit me up, Tom Dix. Wait, are you super into them?
So I've got 3 of the current metal, and I have 2 of the 5th edition frilled ones. So I just need 1 more to round out the unit.
Oh man, that's real pretty. Nikos will be super impressed because he's got like an old school. He only collects old school armies, basically. Old hammers it up, and his whole Seraphon army is only the old ones.
Yeah, I got to see that army when I was in Knots, and I was vibing it pretty hard.
It's pretty cool, right? Yeah, it's really nice. Thank you, Hook and Pin, for subscribing, by the way. Crazy also have a large black metal one. I think he's talking about a salamander, but I'm not sure. Right, so talking about where we're all at with the game at the minute. Obviously, people have got armies that they plan to build and paint. Great. Or you can get along with your hobby projects that already existed. Also great. Sometimes people might be starting new armies, and this is where, not relevant in the meta anymore, Randy Savage comes in. Randy, you've decided to start a new army. But before we find out about your new army, take us through the only one army you've been playing for all of Age of Sigmar.
So Tomb Kings is, I guess, what you're fishing for me to say.
I am.
Not a real army.
Yeah, so it's not. Come on, Rob. You're meant to know the game. It's a compendium army, also known as made-up rules.
Neither are Chaos Dwarfs.
But yeah, look, That's the only army I've ever really played in Age of Sigmar since I started. It's almost 2 years now, so 2 full years of playing nothing but Tomb Kings. Um, and I've loved every moment of it. It's been a great deal of fun, but I think I've really just come to terms with the fact that GHB 20, the chance of those points staying any further are probably donezo. So I've just made peace with that, basically. I've just retired the army. I'm not going to try and proxy it into anything else. I mean, you and I were having a chat as you were leaving after CanCon weekend, where I might do some Bone Reaper stuff just for fun, to use up like the ungodly amount of Tomb King stuff that I have. It's actually, yeah, there's a lot there. But yeah, I've just thought I'd do something different. So Randy's been reforged.
Before we get onto that, I just want to agree with Owen in the chat. You've also got, obviously, you've got Tristan, who's one of your Tomb King brothers, but you've also got Will Rose over here in the UK. I don't know if you've seen. He goes to a lot of events with his Tomb Kings, and recently managed to go 4-on-1, which he was super chuffed about.
I think the thing with Tristan as well, though, is you can even see it. Like, look, and it's not that we stopped liking them. I just think we're at the point where we've realized, and I'm not to speak for Tristan, but he's really heavy into his Cities of Sigmar army that he's having a lot of fun converting. And for those of you that haven't seen it, hit up Tristan Gray on Twitter. He's got some really cool conversions coming out of his crazy old brain. But there's only so much you can do with Tomb Kings nowadays. And for me, after like this whole last year, it was the same list. So I knew my list inside out because it was just worked for me. It worked for my play style, but that gets really boring after a little while. Like not really having a breadth of stuff. Like I didn't have battalions to try something funny and different with. So yeah, like it's great, and I love that people are still out there representing it because it almost flies in the face of whatever rationale or reason there was that the Tomb Kings didn't make it across into Age of Sigmar, that people are still like carrying the torch and going, this was a cool army, this was a cool background, this was fun, and we would have liked to keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course. So you've decided. I think a lot of people would like to carry on with the Tomb Kings, and they're very thematic. But obviously, the OCR Bone Reapers are those guys now, so it's the end of the road, which is sad news.
Well, I've been reading the fluff for the OCR Bone Reapers,
yeah.
And you can really vibe that Games Workshop was trying to go, these guys live in the desert, because everything about Ossia and all the like the area in that space and Catacross, like it's very deserty. They're running through the desert. They're riding through this. They're going through that, and there's dunes and sand and all this other stuff. Like you can really see that was what they were going for. And like the reception was definitely mixed, but yeah, you could definitely see that was what they were trying to recapture in their own new way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what did you decide to pick up? Well, obviously I know the answer, but for everyone at home, you went for.
So Nathan Prince is this absolute champion of a gentleman over here in Australia, and he had a relatively large, a lot larger than I thought it was, Stormcast army that he had I think he'd been taking it to events for a bit over a year. So I'd got to see it a couple of times. Never got to play against it and him, unfortunately. But the running joke was that they're painted up like Space Wolves. Because they've got that sort of Space Wolf blue armor and the really bright yellow shoulder pads. And like I would rib him a lot about it, like in a nice way. But they look like Space Wolves, and he put them up for sale. I think he's working on some Orange Oz now, and I basically didn't even think about it.
You just went straight in, and it's a lot of Stormcast, basically. Right?
Holy shit, there's a lot of Stormcast. I'm so sorry there was swearing, but there was so much.
It's okay, you're allowed to swear. Is it right? So before we started the show, you had something to say about the Stormcast model range, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, so I'm building some right now. I've got a lot of massive plans for this army to make it my own to a certain degree. But like, I don't know what Stormcast, like, I don't know what models are what. Like, I keep looking at them going, I don't know what this is. So I was telling Nick, I was like, Nick, I don't know what this model is. I was like, is it a Liberator? And he's like, oh, does it have a robe? I'm like, I don't know. It's got like a loincloth on it. So it's a Sequitor, because they got robes. Like, no, but like a loincloth. It's like, no, all the Sequitors have robes. And I was like, well, it's got a hammer and a... Oh fuck! Like
Are you just
Stormcast
are you
models
just
are dumb.
default?
They all look the same.
Are you just default calling them all sequiturs until you've been proven wrong?
You know what? So Nathan's used the Celestial Warbringers, and I only know that's what they're called because Danny told me. So, the Celestial Warbringers round shields, on all of his stuff. But there's so much unbuilt stuff here that I'm tempted to use the old, like the Tower Shield versions, and go. The Tower Shields are the Liberators, because that way I will 100% know what I'm talking about, and literally everything else is a Sequitur as far as I'm concerned.
Good. Sequitur with a gun. Sequitur that does magic. Sequitur
What
on a
about-
horse.
I know that the little guns are Vanguard hunters, and the bows
Oh.
are one of the other ones. And then the really long crossbows are long strikes, because everyone talks about that. But if you pushed me real hard, I would struggle, like a lot.
So before we get into like talking about the army and some of the bits that might be good or might not be good, one of the things that came up in the chat, which from Anthony, so from Crazy Horse, which I think is a really really solid point, is did you know that probably the best wizard now you can get for Stormcast is Lord Croak? I don't know if you've ever been a fan of him, but he's probably the best wizard you can get now for Stormcast.
No, I wasn't aware. I don't even know what the new Croak does. I haven't had a chance to go through over all their war scrolls. But the one thing I'm going to do, and the one thing I'm going to stick to real hard, even with my because I did it with my Tomb Kings, is my army's going to be themed, like out of control themed. So it's not going to be about what's the best unit to take or what's the best choice.
Randy, winning is a theme.
Yeah, it's not a theme that I'm interested in.
But
That's a theme for lesser beings.
But it's also sometimes fun, and Nick, maybe you'll be able to give me some backup on this. It's also really fun to find something that is janky. Well, although it's not really janky. Croak is just an ally, and then adding it into your theme. Like I remember, oh god. I forgot their name because it's been so long since I've talked about a Sylvaneth unit. Kurnoth Hunters with Bows came out, and they like shook the world. It was like 13 shooting in Age of Sigmar. What the fuck? So I took 9 of them. This is before General Sample points with 3 Hurricanums because they were super super cheap. Oh no, wait, was it before GHB? Yeah, maybe. No, it wasn't. It was post GHB. 3 Hurricanums, and then some Blade Guard. And then to justify the theme, I made my Hurricanums and Tree Men together. And I was just like, look at the incredible amount of effort I've gone into to make these Hurricanums and also these 12 Kurnoth Hunters and 30 Glade Guard. I'm like a tree spirit army. And everyone was like, oh my god, so thematic. But truthfully, it was an incredibly gross army that couldn't lose a game. So at that point
So what
in
you're
time...
saying is your filth was disguised by a very thin veil of hobby.
It's something that happens right when you become a narrative event organizer, or NEO. Is people send you your lists and their fluff justification or their narrative justification for all the super filth choices that they're taking to your narrative event. It's like someone, like one of the guys, and he'll know who he is, sent me like just nothing but Blight Kings. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so your narrative is I've got a bunch of Blight Kings and they did Blight King things and they walked around, except for there was one guy who was on a horse because he was giving them a 5-up DPR. And so, yeah, like that Blight King was on a horse and they Blight Kinged around a bit. It's like, your army's nothing but Blight Kings. Like, that's going to be the most horrific thing to play against in a narrative event.
but the great thing about Age of Sigmar, like, and I know like some people have different feelings about like how bent it is or like how random it is. But the great thing about it is, as a competitive game, no matter how competitive it can be, is that you have to go through narrative to get to your competitive army. Like, I know obviously the famous Smorgan with mixed chaos, mixed death, and mixed whatever he wants could do as he likes. Go on.
Well, Sam was actually saying, because I was talking to Sam about my list for Between Worlds, because I knew I was going to have the Stormcast by then, and I was like, this will be a fun opportunity for me to take them out and just have a no pressure play with models and stuff. I submitted my list to Morgan. He's just like, this is the most fucking disgusting 1,500 point list I have seen from Stormcast. What are you doing? I'm like, but They're all Astral Templars because they hunt monsters, and that fits with my big theme of the big monster for the event. And then on top of that, all of the long strikes, they have all these bows because they shoot the monsters from afar. And then the Aether Wings are like, well, the long strikes have the birds, so they need other birds. And then there was this, and then the 4 ballistas are because they shoot monsters. And like I literally built it while reading War Scrolls and going, well, this will shoot monsters. And Smorgan's like, this is filth. No.
You've accidentally built the competitive list.
Well, it was just like, this is a few units short of being a shootcast army, which is top tier, Annie. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Before we move on, I just want to say big shout out to Galgotha in the chat who just subscribed. He also says thanks for the content as we're stuck at home day 6 with 4 kids in these walls. Dear Christ.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I'm pressing F. Yeah, the big F in the sky for you.
Yeah,
buddy.
big F in the chat for Galgotha, please. That would be good. So the Ghoul King forgot to look. Go on, Nick. Sorry.
While we're doing shout-outs, a big shout-out to Scrivo, who actually just private messaged me saying that he thinks I'm special. My mum thinks I'm special too, Scrivo. Thanks, it means a lot.
Oh, getting private messages from Scriv. I see how it is.
Yeah, he's the future. Scrivo's such a babe. Thank you to everyone who's joined us live, obviously. Appreciate it. You can join us live every day, midday. Right, so Stormcast. You decided to go for Stormcast. Croak, like someone said earlier in the chat, if we scroll up on Twitch, I can't remember who it was. It was someone talking about. So basically, the good thing about Croak in a Stormcast army, before we even get to talking about the Stormcast, is that he can generate a lot of command points. You obviously get 1 per turn, but he's got the ability to generate 3 more. So you roll 3 dice in your hero phase. Every 4 plus, you get an extra command point. So you'll get 1.5, which obviously isn't. So average between 1 and 2.
But if you roll Smorgan dice, you get all 3.
Exactly. So you're going to get 3 CP, and then sticking that in Stormcast, he's also a 4-cast wizard who can cast a spell. And that's normally a bit useless if you don't have access to a spell lore, but he can cast his own spell 3 times, which is really good. And then he's got Comet's Call, which is an AoE mortal wound spell, which you can double that up with the Comet and do some stuff. But it's really the CP farming that's really positive, because you're able to use a lot of the command abilities in the Stormcast book multiple times, like shoot twice, fight twice with Dracolines. So Croak's is kind of like incredible, like new.
Oh, Dracolines can fight twice?
Yes, from one or
Wow.
No, they can't fight twice. You can stack attacks on them.
Oh, that's still good.
Yeah, really good, especially when you have like 8 CP. Beard and Brew, thanks for subscribing. So so just to talk about why that's so positive, because yeah, it's really good. Like imagine just +8 attacks on Dracolines. They might genuinely be worth it now.
Wait, aren't Dracolines the guys with the wizards on top?
Yeah.
Or do they have other dudes?
No, they're wizards on.
Yeah, like the evocators on the cats, right?
On tigers. Yeah. I think they're tigers.
Yeah.
Are they tigers?
Well, they're whatever they are. They're a lot prettier than the bloody like reject Stardrake mini models. Jesus Christ, those things are horrid.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Misty Cuff in the chat, Misty Scoofy, sorry, is just pointing out that also if you add a Stardrake in, so if you go Stardrake and you go, and have you got a Stardrake in your list or just in your army now?
There is an unbuilt one here, yes.
Perfect. So if you added Croak with that, because the Stardrake does this thing called Rain of Stars, which is board wide, can do D3 mortal wounds, and can do that up to D6 times, potentially, and do D3 mortal wounds onto different units. Croak has got a spell that can do something similar, so you could basically just wipe out like shamans or support characters or war chanters at the back of the board just in a turn. Just be like, cool, they're dead now. I haven't even moved.
So your theme could be Starfall.
Yeah, your theme could be falling stars. Yeah.
There's a mixed order list in there somewhere, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, there's a whole. I mean, it works just in because mainly, yeah, it works in. It's horrible, and like Owen Jackson saying in the chat, add in the Prime. So the Celestial Prime, you got one of those?
Oh no, but boy, do I have plans.
Oh, you're going to do some conversions. So tell us what the theme for your army the theme for your army to be.
So they're basically, I'm going to turn them into Space Wolves. It's happening. Okay. So I've found all these third-party heads where they're like Cossacks and Norsemen, and I'm going to take a whole bunch of the helmeted heads off because the helmeted head look is silly in my opinion. and they're gonna look like feral space wolf dudes. And I'm gonna add a bit of a Cities of Sigmar element to it as well. So basically, they live in a giant storm keep, like most Stormcasts do, but it's built into a giant mountain. Think like the mountain from the Lord of the Rings. So it's a big snow-capped thing, just full space wolves. It's a thing. It's a thing that's happening. So my prime, I've bought Lehman Russ from the 30k range.
Wait, you bought a Lehman Russ?
Yeah, the Primarch.
Not the tank.
Not the tank. The Primarch from the 30k range, and I'm gonna chop him up and chop up bits of the Celestin Prime, mash them together, and then on his base have it sort of diorama-ish so that he's coming down a slope, and the swirls for the Celestin Prime are gonna be like a snow blizzard following behind him.
Wow.
Space Wolves.
That's intense. That is intense. Is it because who do you want to upset more? 40k players or Age of Sigmar players or both?
Well, I don't want to upset anyone. The more I started thinking about it,
But you will.
The more fun I started having with the idea. Like
of how upset people would get.
Well, like they're there, like they're going to be Astral Templars because when they sort of are proving themselves, they hunt down monsters just like Space Wolf initiates do on Fenris. When they would get let out, they'd have to go and bring back a hunter before they could get initiated into a battle company or one of those things before they were a full battle brother, if I'm not mistaken. Same sort of thing. So they're Astral Templars. Plus want to hit monsters. Seems steamy.
Yeah, no, that works really well. All right, lads. Hey, JJ. Someone, Merchant Print is saying that you're making the avatar of Ulrich. You're up to date with the narrative from the old world, right? You know who Ulrich was, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the bear god.
Yeah.
He was a. Yeah. Well, did he make it to Age of Sigmar?
Well, not yet, if he's ever going to make it there at all. But like he featured at the very end of the End Times books, didn't he? Valton was like defending a castle, and then Dickhead Teclis turned up. Underneath the castle, there was a shrine to Ulrich, and then Ulrich appeared for a moment, and then Teclis stole all of his powers. I'm not quite sure how you steal the powers of a god or like an avatar or whatever it was, but he like drained him of all his magic to go using some sort of elven machination, which is why all elves are dickheads, right? Basically, I think that is.
I agreed. Yep.
Do we all agree, Nick? Do you agree with that? Is that a fact?
Sure, whatever.
You're not too bothered. Okay. He was the god of winter and wolves. Okay.
Yes, then that would fit really well. That's cool. I like that. I'll probably work that in there somewhere. Because I'm buying the wolves from the Space Wolf 40k kit where they're just normal wolves, not the cybery ones, but just normal wolves, to use as Griffhounds.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's very cool. You're gonna use wolves, not Griffhounds.
Yeah.
I'm into that. I'm into that a lot. I really want to see this army progress. That's going to be very... Are you thinking, what are you going to do with the Stardrake? How are you going to Space Wolf for Stardrake? That's a challenge I can't think of.
Just use a Lehman Russ.
So to me, the biggest part of the problem of it is that it's very reptilian. So that will need changing. I have some thoughts. My first thought is Mirror's Miniatures makes some crazy models. So there's probably something that already exists.
There is some crazy models from Mirror's Miniatures. So if you're looking for Stormcast lists, Craig Turner in the chat, who just joined us live, has actually written a list, put it on the Wargamer website. He's called it Croakcast. So he's got a Lord Celestin on Stardrake, and then he has got a Drakesworn Templar. So that's another dragon. So 2 dragons. He's got a Lord Castellan, a Knight Incanter, Croak, who'll be 320 points, and then he's got 3 lots of 5 Liberators. really go for that mid max, 0 objective grabbing, and then
what's the allies limit? I thought it was 300.
It's 400.
400.
400.
Oh, okay, yep.
And
Fits
then
in there quite nicely.
yeah, Everblaze Comet, and then the Umbral Spell Portal, and then Quicksilver Swords or Palisades, and it will literally be just nuking people from space, just the Starfall space program, I guess. Is this?
You know what that sounds like?
Is this the Space Force? Yeah.
That's it's very interactive and a positive play experience.
Nick, as a narrative event organizer, would you allow this list to partake in the event?
as previously discussed, winning is a theme, and that appears to subscribe to that theme fairly well. Um,
It does seem to fit into that really well. What? There you go. Merchant Prince has suggested maybe use a Manticore instead of using the Star Drake. There's an idea there.
Yeah, yeah, it's got some legs.
Uh, it's got some.
Or maybe maybe it's one of those that giant woolly mammoth instead. Put some wings on it.
With
Magic.
wings.
You could do that. It's fun.
Wow.
Just get a 40k one of the flyers, like a Storm Raven or something.
Yes.
But like, actually do something really cool. Like, I don't know what it would be, like super in theme and really cool. But then also just buy a Storm Raven and just put it down on the table and be like, yeah, this is my dragon.
This is my Star Drake. What the hell is that? It was in a storm vault. They found it, and now it's mad.
See how many rounds you win by just your opponent just like losing their shit.
Yep.
That can be your
see
thing.
how many people refuse to play me.
Plenty, I imagine. Mechanizing the whole army can be quite difficult, and there are some armies that it seems to make more sense with, especially like dwarves and or Skaven. But I don't think. I'm not sure about Stormcast, but maybe. Merchant Prince says if you're doing Mammoth, make a faceplate for it so that the twin-tailed comet is incorporated with flame tails along the tusks. Wow. The Merchant Prince and you should just get into a room and start talking about this, I think, Randy. Like, he's got ideas.
Yeah, so the problem with being friends with Denny Paints is that he is all about this as well. So I had the fortune of visiting Melbourne last weekend to see the guys before everything shut down, and I went out for dinner with Denny, and all we talked about was what he was converting and what I wanted to convert, and it was like 4 hours of us talking about conversions. It was amazing.
It's just the best, right? Honestly, I think it's a great opportunity to add your bent to the hobby. And what you can do. It's one of the things that I'm desperately trying to avoid at the moment. I keep thinking, how can I make my Seraphon, especially Sora's Warriors, how can I make them different? And then I think, no, Rob, just actually finish a fucking army. Just do that first. Then...
Well, that's what I like about what I've done here is that Nathan has painted this army, and this army looks good. Like, it looks really nice on the table. But it's given me the drive to add my own spin to it. So a lot of the time I don't finish an army because I get for my favorite part of the hobby is building something, and then to paint it, because you're putting on your base coats and it never looks like it's actually done for a little while, especially the speed that I paint, I lose a lot of my momentum. But because this stuff's already painted, it's just like, well, I'm going to do this conversion, then I just have to paint a head because I'm swapping the head over, or I'm going to do this, and this, and add a little bit more snowflock to this base. And for whatever reason, it's kind of like kickstarted my hobby mojo a little bit to do more cool conversions and things like that, and because that's where my love of the hobby really comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think if once you get an idea for something in your head, that's all that matters. And I think the idea that you build and paint armies for tournaments, and I'm one of those people that definitely does that as well, but. I don't know, maybe this big break that we're all going to allow us to have is going to allow us to rediscover one of the things that we love about it, which is the story and the actual models themselves and the setting, which I try not to lose focus of. But when the game is so fast-paced, like it has been in the past year or so, with so many book releases, so much information to learn, even if you were just reading the lore. Like if you go over and listen to Doug on 2 Plus Tough, he does great narrative videos. You can go and listen to those and try and absorb information that way. That works really well. But I tend to just read it through myself, so it seems to stick in my head a little bit better. But that's so much information just to be taken in, let alone hobbying on top to try and get those armies on the tabletop. It's been pretty fast paced. Maybe this will be a nice break that we all need. For a horrible situation, it's a nice thing, is what I'm trying to get at.
It's all about that silver lining and that realignment, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a good side to it.
Of course there is. Someone's suggesting you use Smaug instead. Is that Space Wolfy enough?
It's definitely a nicer dragon than the Star Drake.
It is a nicer dragon.
Can I just say, some Stormcast models, you can tell they were Wave 1, because Jesus Christ.
Say that again, sorry?
Some of the Stormcast models, you can tell they were wave 1 of like AOS full stop because they are not good.
Yeah, I missed it one more time. I don't know why. I can't hear. Is this a coronavirus symptom? I can't hear
use
words.
words, Randy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that some of the earliest models from the Stormcast range, you can tell that they're wave 1, like wave 1 of AOS.
Oh, right, yes.
Because they are not nice.
No, they are truly awful. Dracoline, not Dracolines, the Dragon Cats are my example of that because the paws are awful. That's the only way I think to describe them. I think they look pretty rubbish. And obviously Fire Slayers came out at that point as well, so I couldn't agree more because obviously Fire Slayers, you said you can't tell a Stormcast army apart. Telling a Fire Slayer army apart is basically impossible.
Yeah, it's like, what diapered man is this one meant to be?
Yeah, like, who are you tiny ginger nutter?
Oh, that's a hired all blah blah blah. And he's like, cool. All right, so the diaper man kills this. Fantastic. Moving on.
Yeah, and also just a quick note. Someone in the chat saying now, so I just want to get past this real quick. Miss Miniatures is doing 50% off at the minute on their Salamander models, right? Which they're my favourite Salamander models, and I am 100% telling you this because they sent me 12 yesterday. So I want you to know that. But they're I liked them before, then they sent me them because I liked them, but 50% off on their web store right now. I just thought you might all want to know that. I apologise for that plug.
That sounds like a shameless plug.
That's a shameless plug.
Did you get sent product?
No, I know. No, I didn't get sent product. No.
Such a shill.
Owen Jackson, thanks for sending 2,000 bits. I already liked the model. I already said that they were great. And then I said, hey, miss, if you want to send me them. And then they contacted me and did send me them. So that's very different. It's like, I'm not a shill for this, but I don't know about you. You said you went and picked up paint, Nick? Spray can paint.
Yeah.
What's your brand?
Citadel.
Okay, so I think I picked up some Army Painter, which I used to use anyway. Then when I worked at Games Workshop, obviously Citadel stuff was 50% off, so I just bought loads of those, right? And then now I obviously don't have that discount available again. I've like, what paint do I want to use? And I picked up some Army Painter stuff again. Sprayed with it yesterday. It's just so much better. Like, I don't know.
No, incorrect. It's so bad.
I don't agree at all. I know some people have had really negative experiences, but I've had amazing experiences with it. Yeah.
I've used one can of Army Painter ever, and I will never go back.
What? What happened with it?
Just like bad coverage, super thick. Just I don't know. Just was very unhappy.
Sounds like user error.
Nah, I don't know. Like. Just didn't work for me. Maybe I got a bad one.
I would like to know if anyone who's watching live has got an experience with it. Sorry, carry on, Nick.
Like you pay through the nose for the Citadel spray. Don't get me wrong, but I've never had an issue. I've never had a model just covered in like really thick spray. So results wise, and at the end of the day, you spend so much on your army. I just sprayed an entire Nurgle army today. It took a whole can of spray, but for whatever I paid for the spray compared to the cost of the army, the difference is negligible. Not that I'm like being a GW apologist. I think that charging what they do for the spray is ridiculous. But then again, I'm buying it, and I think it's worth it over that particular alternative.
Well, Army Painting is the same-ish price. So like, I don't think there's maybe not in Australia, obviously, because you guys get ripped off day by day. But yeah, I used it last night. To spray some flamers of Zinch. Don't worry about that. That's not the issue. And the coverage I thought was fantastic. And I remembered all the spraying that I've done previously, and that being like, but then could it be the climate? Because I know I used a Citadel yellow spray a few years ago, and it came out really horrible. But it was because I wasn't using it within the temperature guidelines. It was genuinely too hot, and so it was coming out really bad.
User error. What did I say?
No,
user error.
I'm not saying it's user error. I'm just asking if it was super hot at the time, because some people
Australia.
Well, it's Australia, mate. It's always hot. Sorry. Um, so because some people in the chat, Mr. Kapowski's had really bad experiences with Army Painter Matte Black. Surfer Dibs has only had horrendous experiences with Army Painter Spray, way too thick and awful colour. Datcom says that he loves the Army Painter Browns. And then Undead Ben says the Army Painter coat's way too thick. Maybe that's, for me, I'm like, that feels like good coverage. I'm like, yeah, look at this. Fucking thick yellow. That's what I want. Like deep, thick yellow.
I'm sorry, Rob. Can you say that one more time?
Deep, thick yellow.
All right, cool. Yeah, I just didn't hear you very well the first time. That's all.
See, Rob, some of us do more than just putting a wash over the spray, so we prefer it a little bit thinner.
If you think
This
you
is
can,
a safe space, Nick Hohen.
if you think you can sort how I paint my Warhammer, like there's just you'll never hurt me because I try. I'm gonna genuinely try. I'm like my siege army's gonna look pretty nice. It's gonna look pretty nice. But yeah, it is. But then I also worry now that I'm not gonna be able to take it to any tournaments. So I'm like, why the fuck am I painting it? Like, what am I doing? So now I want to paint 42 Blood Crushers or whatever the fuck I want to paint. That's what I want to paint next. That's gonna be the fun. So Owen says both brands are fine. The key is running it under a hot tap and giving it a good shake beforehand. Is this a hack? What's that?
Sounds like extra steps to me.
Yeah, I've heard of that, but I've never had to do it with Citadel.
So Squinty Hugh in the chat, who, by the way, if you're looking for some inspiration for doing some conversions, Hugh, Seraphon Armies, absolutely insane, and I would go check it out. He says Halford's Primer is the most consistent spray paint I've ever used. I'm in love with the Putty Primer, yellow spray. I only use Army Painter Anti-Shine for sealing and varnishing. Do you guys ever varnish or seal your models?
Yep.
No.
In fact, one thing I've started doing when I do paint something is I will varnish at multiple steps as well, depending on what I'm doing.
Okay.
And that helps really protect stuff. Like if I've gotten a good example is my snakes. So when I was painting them up, once they were all done with the base coats, but before I put the metals on, I varnished them. And then you put the metal. And that was just something, just watching stuff on YouTube. I think it's one of the things that Vince says on his videos when someone asked him as well. Because then you don't get the rub off sometimes. Because like I'll grab stuff and I find that I end up rubbing paint off a model. That's just my own personal experience. But if you varnish over metal, it loses its sheen. If you're using like true metallic metal paints with the flakes and stuff in them.
Okay. All right, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I varnished some of my Heresy Mechanicum stuff because I spent forever painting it, and obviously it's Forge World, so like it gets chipped and damaged a little bit easier. But that's the only. I've never ended up varnishing any of my plastics, but I was thinking about it. Crazy Horse says priming should only be done with an airbrush. That sounds like some real elitist stuff that I don't really get. Also, airbrushes, can we talk about the fact that airbrushes take forever? Like you spray a little bit and then you've got to clean it for like 45 minutes and clean it again, do it again. Have you used an airbrush?
Yeah, rattle cans are a lot quicker to undercoat stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And then Mr. Aaron Dembski Bowden, if you've heard of this young man, says that Army Painter Blood Red ruined an insanely expensive Kitbash Blood Angel squad I made once. So it looks like I'm the only person who is rating the Army Painter stuff. So I haven't had a bad experience.
Is he the dude that wrote a book?
Is he the dude that wrote a book? He's the dude that wrote loads of good books. Yes.
I am of course trolling. He's a fantastic author for the 40k Black Legion stuff. So, yeah, big fan of your work, Mr. Bowden.
He's also a Carrion Overlords player.
Oh, that's a curveball. I wouldn't have seen that coming.
But we don't hold that against him.
Yeah, I mean, we're still friends with Denny, so.
Exactly, right? And, can I tell you about a list I got sent today? I know you guys know, and I do want to hear more about the Stormcast in a moment. But I just want to tell you about So did you guys? I'm just going to say you didn't listen to the show on Monday, and then that saves me the embarrassment of asking you.
That's correct.
So on Monday's show,
I only create content. I don't absorb content.
Yeah, same. So I got sent a list by the wonderful Mr. Benjamin Sava because I asked on Monday's show for people to send me lists that do impact damage in the movement phase. I'm like, I want damage in the movement phase. Let's hit it up. This is what I want. So the gorgeous Benjamin Savage sent me a list, and I think it's fantastic. It's a 1-drop list. It's Allegiance Khorne. It's got a Skullmaster who's the Herald of Khorne. He's the leader, which means your Blood Crushers become battle line, and then you have 7 units of Blood Crushers, six deep, which come to 240 points. And you then take the battalion, the Brass Stampede, for 140 points. And if you ever get the charge off with all of the units of Blood Crushers at the same time, on average, it's 84 mortal wounds in the charge phase. Now, you'll never do it, but is it the best list of all time? Question.
All that tells me is how much cheaper Blood Crushers are than Plague Drones.
Yeah, so much cheaper. That's so much cheaper. Plague Drones are way worse.
Because my Nurgle army has 20 models in it.
That's I love that. I love everything about that.
I'm being told to stop in the chat by Owen, who says he's building that list right now.
That's amazing. That's cool.
Wouldn't that look? It would at least look cool.
Yeah, it'd be sick. I know when the Slaves to Darkness book came out, and I think Darren ended up doing a list diary on it, and someone ran at an event. I've forgotten their name, unfortunately, but they have a very nice sort of old hammer style Chaos Army, which I loved. It was the Chariot list with the Lord on the Carcatrack in the battalion that gives them extra impact hits on the charge.
Yep.
And so they like charge in, and you've got the cogs up, so they do an average of 3 mortals from their charging impact hits, and then another D3, and then the Lord on Carcatrack does D3, and then D3 to every unit that he's touching, and so you end up just doing mortals everywhere on the charge, and you have like 8 Chaos Chariots that are all charging and running and charging and stuff.
You know what the best thing about that Blood Crusher list is, Rob,
What?
now that I think about it?
Yeah.
It's going to look so good in your dead pile.
Yeah, they're gonna get fucking whomped. Like, and also in order to like reduce the efficiency of those, because if you guys don't know, when they charge on the charge phase, each one of the models gets to roll a dice. On a 2+, it will do D3 mortal wounds. If there are 5 or more models, so units of 6. So just by going for those min 6s, you can reduce the damage, not the damage. You can reduce the output of that army significantly by just killing off 1 model from each of the units of 6, and then now instead of doing D3 mortal wounds on the charge, they just do 1, which is way worse. So when
Krog pops off, hits every unit, just kills a crusher out of every unit.
You're like, fuck! Yes. But it's still really fun, I reckon. Thank you to Christopher Bjerge for joining Patreon, and to everyone else who has over the past few days. You guys are great. Tomb King Tristan's very happy that you're here, Randy. Just want you to know that.
Hey, it's Tristan.
And also Undead Ben, who for some reason, and I don't know why, likes Bloodthirsters, says that he likes that list. Datcom says, can I get you two to rate Bloodthirsters out of 10, 1 to 10? And Twitch chat.
7.
7. Why? Justify.
Everything about them's cool, except for the fact that their model was made too early, so they're too small.
Fair enough. Okay.
They're just like, you sit one next to a Great Unclean One, or a Bird, or a Herald, and it looks tiny. Like, it looks tiny.
Yeah. It's not the most elegant, like, large smasher, is it? Like, No. I think that. Nick, what do you think?
10.
10? How come?
They're a Bloodletter, just way bigger and with wings. And I have 4 of them sitting on the table next to me, and I think they're great. They're very simple creatures. They just fly forward and they smash things. There's no nonsense with the Bloodthirster. And also, like, they took me to a pretty competitive point with back in 7th Ed and 8th Ed and stuff. Not so much the Bloodthirsters, but the Bloodletters, but also at Blackout. So yeah, don't mind the old Bloodthirster.
Okay, all right, sweet. There you go, Ben. You got some backup. Talking about the Blood Crusher list, Datcom says I'd rather do something pretty cool every game rather than have a list that can do something really cool very occasionally. And then Dave Fraser says Randy is selling Stormcast and will trade for Blood Crushers. Is this true, Randy?
No, not quite, not quite. While it sounds cool, it sounds very much like what I used to do with my snakes, which was push them forward. I'm looking forward to activating in other parts of the game, like
with your
shooting.
with your shootcast army.
Yep. Well, I've got magic. I've actually got magic. Did you know that the banner guy can shoot lightning at people?
And
Yeah.
Krog.
I did know the bad guy could shoot lightning at people. Did you? There's
I
a
can't
lot.
remember what they're called. I think relictors, something like that.
Yeah, a relictor. He's actually a soul that's been taken from the realm of death and has been reforged, and that's why they've always got that kind of like dark visage with them, and they're carrying around.
Really?
Yeah, the Crozius, and that's their narrative effectively. Relictors.
Well,
See, I just
gotta
thought that
always have one in my army. So if you ever see a list where I don't have a relictor in it, you can slap me across the internet because that sounds awesome to me. It's me. It's me. I've gone from death. I've been reforged.
There you go.
I just thought they were like the chaplains of the chapter.
Yes.
Yeah. They. I mean,
Nice.
well, because Space Marines, because Stormcast are Space Marines.
Yep.
They are. There's no denying it. They've got chambers. They've got lead. Like it's the whole thing. It's literally copy paste. Although,
Love it.
yeah, I mean you can't really go wrong with that. Like the Horus Heresy doesn't have much more than the Marines in it, and it's one of the greatest pieces of like it's an incredible piece of fiction. Like some obviously a hit and miss, but wonderful.
Just don't call them Sigmarines on an Australian Facebook page.
I never would.
Ooh, topical from like last year.
It's so topical. It's Thundergore in the chat says Lord Exorcists are the best. They are not the best in the game, but they're pretty cool models. You won't see one though. Have you got Lord Exorcist in that pile there, Randy? He looks like kind of like a priest. He has got robes also, but he's got kind of like the trappings.
You have not narrowed it down at all. He's a priest and he's got robes.
He's the one with the thunderhammer.
Yeah.
The Thunderhammer.
He's the one with all the armor.
Maybe unbuilt, but not built. No.
Okay, all right. Yeah, he's he hasn't got Thunderhammer. He's actually got a staff, and his staff can be built one of two ways. But he's got a staff that captures souls. So as things get smote or murdered, he captures souls, and then what happens is they go inside the soul capture staff, and then they get judged. And if they're good enough, they can go get reforged and become Stormcast, or they can get like cured basically. But if they're not good enough, they get destroyed and pushed into the ether. That's what they do.
That's cool.
Well,
Like harvesting gene seed.
Rob, can we just have an episode of you just describing things to Randy and him going, "Oh, that's cool, I'm doing that," and we'll just see if we can find anything that he doesn't think is cool.
Yeah, the stupid like Dracoline cats. Not Dracolines. The Drake. Drake.
All right, Rob.
Terrible.
Can you explain those to Randy in a way that he will find them cool?
Can't be done.
The Thunder Lizards. So they are Dracolines. Not Dracolines. You don't mean those. You mean oh god. Does someone know what their names are? They are called
Baby Star Drakes.
Concussors. You mean Concussors,
Yeah.
Tempestors?
Yeah.
Or Dracoths. Thank you so much for saving my life, Twitch chat. Yeah. So I mean, they're Star Drakes. But they're not Star Drakes, they're little maybe Star Drakes. They're actually made of lightning and stars. They're dragons, baby dragons, and they're ridden by the souls of warriors who were stolen against their will, put through a torturous device, recrafted into slave soldiers for a despot demigod, and then sent forward on Star Dragon babies. They literally I've actually heard that the way that they make them, actually the Dracoths, is it's a bit like what they do with chickens when they make nuggets. So there's loads of Star Drake eggs, then they steal them, and then like a bonsai tree, they don't let it grow any bigger, and so it's like constantly feeling trapped inside its own body, and every movement is constant agony and pain. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and then the models look like that. Pass.
Yeah.
All of that sounded really cool, and your effort deserves recognition.
Appreciate
but
that.
the models look like that. Pass.
Yeah. They could look better. They could be more dynamic, I think, is the thing, right?
They could be more Space Wolf, Rob. They could, in fact, be Thunderwolf cavalry with Stormcast heads.
That's cooler. Yeah, because who doesn't like wolves?
Because that's never been done.
Exactly. It's totally unique.
All right. So we've been about an hour, and I said I didn't want to keep you guys any longer than an hour. So have you guys got any final thoughts, any final things you want to say before we head out for the day?
I think my only thing is I'm really looking forward to trying something different. And I think it's one of those things as well in the hobby that we're very lucky that the range of armies that we've got nowadays really seem to have their own flavor, and the fact that they all do something slightly unique, because it gives us the opportunity to try something different. So we never get bored. And that's all the hobby is, really, to a certain degree. It's just us not trying to be bored. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. And using our creativity to explore the world. Nick, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, look, guys, just stay safe, look after each other, flatten the curve and all that, and stay hydrated.
What a great group of individuals. Yeah, I love that. I love that love at the end. Yeah, same for me. Stay hydrated, look after each other. I was lucky enough to get to spend a bit of my year already this year with both Randy and Nick, and you couldn't ask for two finer fellows to exist in the world. So they're great dudes. So thank you very much for coming on the show. Chudred says Rob should stream 24/7 until the virus has passed, or I finish my painting stack. Maybe we'll do a 24-hour stream during the bunker, the hunker in the bunker.
Yes.
Yeah, the hunker in the bunker. Yeah, that'd be fun.
You could have international guests dial in at their respective hours that work for them to just talk to a really sleep-deprived Rob, who's even worse at staying on track.
Because I can rarely stay on track anyway, so I
exactly.
Yeah, okay, all right. We'll do that at some point. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Don't forget we're going to be live every day midday. We've got all sorts of special guests coming on the show, which will be fun. And I'm also going to be doing some special shows about tactics deployment. I'm going to be looking at some of the lists in the workbook, which will be fun. But big love to all you guys. Look after yourselves. Thanks for joining us. And if you've enjoyed what you do, or if you're listening to the podcast, stay hydrated. And if you've enjoyed it all, then feel free to join us on Twitch next time. So thanks very much. See you all, and thank you to you guys. Goodbye.